All right, Neil Randall Rock Doc here with a story. Guitarist Jeff Beck celebrates his 78th birthday today. Considered among the greatest guitar players in history, Beck is often called a guitarist. So I thought I'd tell you a few things about Jeff Beck that you might not know. And as usual, a little background first. So as a teenager, Jeff not only loved the guitar, but he also had a real talent at painting. So he went to art school for 2 years, of course, playing on the side, and he played in a lot of different bands. But it was also during this time that he met Lord Sutch and played in his band, Lord Sutch and the Screaming Savages. And when he started to play with Lord Sutch, he became known, started to do some session work, and in March of 1965, Beck was recruited by the Yardbirds to succeed Clapton. And it was on the recommendation of one of his fellow session players that he had met doing sessions, Jimmy Page, who had been the initial choice for the Yardbirds. He didn't want to do it at the time. He suggested Beck, and Beck said yes. Now, the Yardbirds recorded most of their top 40 hit songs during Jeff's short but significant 20-month tenure with the band. He did one full album with the band, which became known in the States as Over, Under, Sideways, Down. I think it was called Roger the Engineer in the UK. And that was released in 1966. Okay. Fast forward a few years later, Beck has his own band, and he's out there looking at other people as well. So he goes and to see Jimi Hendrix shortly after Hendrix arrived in London. And according to Jeff, it was probably one of the first shows he did in London. It was in a tiny downstairs club in Queensgate. It was a fashion club, mostly girls, 18 to 25, all dolled up, hats and all. Jimmy wasn't known then. He came on, and I went, oh my God. He had the military outfit on, the hair that stuck out all over the place. And they kicked off with Bob Dylan's Like a Rolling Stone. And I thought, well, I used to be a guitarist. All right, now, again, we'll fast forward a couple of years. The Jeff Beck group is in the States. It's 1968, and they're playing at my old boss Steve Paul's club called The Scene, very famous club in New York City. And Jimmy was there. Hendrix loved The Scene and was a regular fixture. Now, again, according to Beck, we did 6 nights in a row there in June of 68. The initial gig, though, that broke us in America was at the Fillmore East with the Grateful Dead. But after that success and the great write-ups, we then had to go down market at a small club for 6 nights, and that small club was The Scene. And again, Hendrix loved The Scene. All right. The first night at The Scene, now this is Jeff Beck talking. The first night at The Scene, Jimmy didn't show up, but he came for the rest of the 5 nights. And around the halfway mark, he'd come in from wherever he had been recording, and the buzz was incredible. The place was packed anyway, but when he came in, they were standing on each other's shoulders. Now, sometimes he didn't have his guitar, so he would turn one of my spare guitars upside down and play that way, and actually played bass at one point. I got a photograph of that. Thank God someone took a picture, because there's hardly any record of those goings on. He's right about that. I've looked. All right, now, believe it or not, fast forward up to the 90s, and Jeff was getting bored with music, and he almost actually quit. And then he met this female guitarist named Jennifer Batten. And if you don't know who she is, check her out. Fabulous female guitarist. I became aware of her when Batten toured with my friend Michael Jackson. But check her out. Very cool. So Batten turned Beck on to electronica and collaborated with him on the album Who Else? And the album also marked Beck's first collaboration with a female musician in touring, writing, and recording, as well as the first time he had worked with another guitarist on his own material since playing in the Yardbirds. All right, I'm going to end with a statement that Beck recently made about his guitar playing. I've always liked to play melodically. Otherwise, there's nothing there, just an ugly sound. Listen to the great guitarists of the 50s. They didn't do that nasty sort of industrial distortion. They played musical compositions as solos. Scotty Moore, Cliff Gallup, Django Reinhardt. There wasn't a bad note in any of those solos. I listened to that and stayed with those rules. All right, one more thing about Jeff Beck. As of late, Jeff has been playing with Johnny Depp. Many of you probably know that. And they recently released their first single. You could see it on YouTube. It's called This Is a Song for Miss Hedy Lamarr, and it's from their upcoming album, 18. All right. That's my story. I hope you enjoyed it. I'll have more stories as the days go on. You know where to find me around the internet. And as I always say, always remember to keep on rocking. All right. Bye for now.